This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself.
Today we have a Novatronic dishwasher, an older one, pretty far back, maybe about 20 years old, that isn't heating the water anymore. So checking the water level here, making sure it's filling. It's reaching the bottom of this white plastic filter handle. So that's good. That means that we're getting the right amount of water. If you don't get the right amount of water, it can be trouble. I have it set for the highest temperature setting there to the left, which is, I think it's set for 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And when I run it though for about 20 minutes, the water's still not very warm. So under the Miele service manual, if it says water not heating, one of the temperature limiters is not functioning, could be the reason. Check the temperature limiters, and also the flow through heater may not be functioning. So we're going to check some of these things. To do that, we just have to remove the dishwasher from the cabinet. So we took out the screws that were holding it in, and we're just disconnecting the drain hose. So it looks like there's probably enough fill hose to get it out of there. We're going to remove the left panel, which is actually pretty easy to do.
If this video is helping you, please consider pressing down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen the subscribe button, and that really helps our channel.
So as we can see here in the manual, we just have to remove these screws number 1, screw number 2 in the front, screw number 3 in the back, and then we can tilt it out about 45-degree angle and then lift up, and that panel will come off. Then we can lift the insulation out of the way too, so we can get a good look. So here's the left panel, and remove these screws at the top. Those are screws number 1. They're just Phillips head screws. There's one here on the front too, down near the bottom. It's a Phillips head screw. It's a little bit different from the other 4, or the other 3. So you got to remember, this one's a little bit different design. We're going to pull this one out, and then there's one in the back. We'll get that one out. It's this one. These are similar. This one's similar to the ones on the top. Okay, now we lift the panel up out of the dishwasher, and then there is a little layer of insulation. We're just going to lift that up and fold it back over the top. That's going to give us access to the flow-through heater, this thing here. This is the flow-through heater description from the manual, and it just talks about the different parts and how it's energized by the electronic up there in the door, and then by the heater relay. So number 2 are the limiters. On this model, it had one limiter, kind of where it shows here in the manual, and then one near the bottom. So this thing that the red wire is hooked to is a limiter with a little red button, and if you push the button, it will then reset and allow energy to flow into the heater again. In this case, this was not tripped. This thing circled in red is the heater relay that's part of most of these Miele dishwashers. You can see here it's number 14 on the chart. This particular model is an older one and didn't seem to have a heater relay anywhere, but it did have these limiters. I'm just doing a continuity check here to see if energy can flow through the element. So I have it on each end of the element, and I got to make sure that I have a good continuity reading. It was showing 11 ohms, which is good. Then I'm just pressing that little red button there, and it wasn't projected out. It was already in, so that means it did not trip. But I could check it with my continuity tester too. I can just put my leads in. I should hear a beep showing that electrons can flow through it. That's a common reason that your dishwasher wouldn't be heating. So check that out. And then on this model, there's another limiter here at the bottom. I'm just going to check that with my continuity tester. And that did show that it had continuity too. So it seems that the heater checks out on this one, and the 2 limiters are kind of like fuses. They check out that energy should flow through it. So it could be that the energy is never reaching the heater, and that could be due to the heater pressure switch may be defective, or there may be a hidden relay somewhere. Also, it could be that the timer or the controller is never sending energy down to the heater that lives up in the door. So we're going to cover in the video how to fix that too. So I'm going to take a look also the bottom here, see if I can find that heater relay. So I got the machine on its side. I drained out the water out of the sump by using a turkey baster to suck the water out so it wouldn't spill. Turned it on its side. I'm taking these 4 Phillips head screws from the bottom panel, and then I can take off that panel. I looked in there really good for a heater relay on this model, which is usually found right here at the bottom, but I couldn't find it. So could be that the relay is actually built into the timer. So here's some of the components. Here's the little switch in case it floods, styrofoam float. Just looking around these areas to see if I can find it. This is the capacitor. This thing, though, is the heater pressure switch. It may be defective. It's supposed to sense the pressure generated by the circulation pump and then send energy to the heater relay, which sends energy to the heater. But I couldn't find a heater relay hiding anywhere. I also pulled off the right panel. I couldn't find it. So I got a feeling on this older model that it's hiding inside of the timer. And all I can do in that case is replace the timer. What I did do is use my electrical cleaner to thoroughly clean the contacts for the timer to see if that would help. It looks like when this dishwasher was installed, they had it plumbed to the cold water coming in instead of the hot water, just making sure that all the connections are tight. And that may have caused the heater system to wear out prematurely, because it's supposed to get 120 degree Fahrenheit water coming in from the hot side underneath your sink. But this one for years and years had the cold coming in. So it could be that caused this heating system to fail prematurely. So I'm just putting the bottom panel back on. And the homeowner, what they're going to do is actually get it plumbed correctly so hot water comes in from the water heater in the house directly into the dishwasher. They're going to raise up their hot water heater temperature to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. It's usually 120, and that should be enough to melt the soap. We even had purchased a heater relay to replace it, but we just couldn't find it. So I'm going to check, though, the ohms resistance on that heater. I'm going to put one end here on this side of the heating element, one on the other side, and check my multi-tester for ohms. And I got about 11.7, so that's good continuity. That should be a heating element that still works. So I think the heating system works. Just somewhere on the way from the timer down is some obstruction. Maybe there is a hidden heater relay somewhere that I can't find. I'm going to go ahead and put the side panel back on. I'm going to fit it down into the top of the drip pan at the bottom. There's a little sleeve that fits over the drip pan, and then I'll push it back into position. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the parts of the upper door where the timer is, so I can take off the contacts and clean them. I got some electrical cleaner, clean them up, and then put it back together to see if that helps. In my experience, usually when this happens to the Miele dishwashers, the contacts inside the heater relay are just dirty, and they can be cleaned with some really fine sandpaper, or you can just put a new heater relay. But again, this one I just could not find the heater relay. Never worked on a model this old though. So we're just adding those screws back onto the side panel. And then we'll remove some screws here at the top of the door panel, which is where we're going to find the electronics or the timer. And I'm not going to remove all the screws. I'm going to just loosen some of the bottom ones, but I'm going to remove the top. I think there were the top 8 screws. And I should be able to pull the plastic part off. Before I pull it off though, I'll use a standard head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, to gently pry the 2 knobs off, because they're going to be holding on that plastic too. So I'm pulling off the left side, comes off easily. The right side's still encumbered because those 2 dials are still on there, so I just have to gently pry them off. Just be careful, because usually this plastic's really old and brittle, so it's apt to break. So just take your time, give it a little bit of prying pressure from behind, from the top, from the side. Just gently wiggle it out. Just going to pry that off. Here's the second one. And then you can get off the plastic fascia or the face of it. Just take your time, kind of wiggle and pull, it'll come off. There's going to be 3 screws holding the metal plate in position. There's 2 little ones on the side, just little tiny Phillips head screws. So this one on the right, one on the left, and then there's one kind of big one right in the middle that's near the door lock. This one. And now this whole metal section will come out, which has the timer hooked to it. You can actually get the timer out too if you're able to remove 2 little screws on the front nearby where that knob was. Then you can pull the timer out of the metal casing. So in the manual they call the timer the electronic or electronics. That's the controller. There it is to the right. So you can see you have a lot of different wires coming up to it. And these just wiggle off. So you kind of grab them, wiggle them. And then once they're off, I use some electrical cleaner. You can get it at Home Depot in the electronical section. Just spray the part that it hooks to and spray the modular connector. And when you do that, just do them one at a time, and then put that modular connector back on and then go to the next one, just so you don't get mixed up. So you just go through all these. There are some more of them that are hidden closer to where my left hand is, and to get those you have to remove the timer by taking out those 2 screws in the front. Just got those all cleaned up. We're just putting it all back together, just kind of reverse order of how we took it apart. So we'll put those 2 little screws on the side to hold that metal plate back into position. And then we got one more there at the top for the door switch. It's a kind of a thicker screw. I'm going to put that one back in. So it could be for this dishwasher that the heater pressure switch wasn't working.
Watching our video, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance, and also click the little bell notification button so we can send you weekly videos on all the different ways of fixing appliances around your home and saving you lots of money. So thanks again for watching, and please also press the like button for our video if this was helpful to you.
Feel free to contact me at the email listed below, which is scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com, with any of your questions. And also, if you need to have a FaceTime meeting with me or a Zoom meeting, you can click on one of the links below in the description, and we can set up a 15-minute or 30-minute video conference where we can work on your appliance problem. So thanks again for all your support and for watching the video.